Arrival at the pearly gates.
Stop me now if you wanna have a good time.
Oh,
Just
look
give
at
me
this,
a
just
call.
what I wanted. Bubbly. Oh, beautiful.
Yes, I have a good time. I don't wanna stop.
Arrival at the pearly gates.
Whoa, you look happy.
Are you taking the mickey?
Yeah, what happened to you?
Thank you. Oh, you don't want to know. And anyhow, how do you look so good?
I had what one would call a good death.
A good death? What do you mean by a good death? I mean, how can death be good?
Well, it was good because everything went the way I wanted it to.
And how did you manage that?
Well, when I was first diagnosed with dementia, in the early stages, I was given the opportunity to talk about my wishes for how I wanted things to go in the future and write them down while I still could, while I still had mental capacity, so that when I'd completely lost all my marbles, everybody who needed to knew what I wanted.
What do you mean? Advanced care planning?
Yes, it's a process which enables you to have a discussion with those who are providing your care about your preferences and wishes and allows you to express any concerns you may have. I told my GP my main concern was that someone would put the wrong set of false teeth in my mouth, God forbid. It does happen, you know. And I also said I don't want to go to that local hospital, or in fact any hospital. I wanted to stay in the care home. I knew them and they knew me, poor sods. Did no one ask you to complete one of those planning for your future care forms, or just have one of those discussions with you?
No, nobody talked to me about anything. Nobody discussed anything with me. It was just a case of, there you go, that's it.
Oh dear. Anyway, let's look at this questionnaire they've given us. Oh, look at this. It says, in general, how did my death go? Well, mine was good. In fact, it was great. They had everything in place. The care home had meetings to discuss all the residents they expected to die within a year.
End of life register, what is that?
It's the same as the GP practices have. You know, the gold standards framework.
The gold standards framework? Now you are confusing me. Are you sure your dementia is all gone?
Yes, of course. The staff at the care home had regular meetings to discuss where you were on the end-of-life pathway. Most GP practices do the same for all their patients. As you move along the pathway, they discuss you more frequently, so that as you near the end of your life, they discuss you daily. It's to make sure they have everything in place. So from forms they needed to make sure I didn't go into hospital unnecessarily, to equipment they needed to care for me, such as a really fancy bed and a mattress. It prompts questions like DNAR.
DNAR?
Yes, do not attempt resuscitation.
Ah, right.
Because they knew I was dying and I couldn't really tell them what I wanted by then, they felt it would not be in my best interest to resuscitate me. And aren't I glad they took notice of another of one of my advanced care plan wishes. My family were up for it as well. I always said to them, I don't want a stranger jumping on my chest. What about you?
Well, I had end-stage emphysema. Not dementia like you had, you know, I remember everything, so I've no problems with that. But one minute I was in my comfy bed, feeling not so well, but you know how it is, and then I went off a bit. Next thing I knew, I was having a bit of a funny do, and I've been having more chest infections than usual. I've been in hospital 4 times, and I hated going. It was an awful experience. Anyway, like I said, I had this funny do. Next thing I knew, I'm in this ambulance, lights blaring, noise, everything. Then I ended up in the hospital on this hard trolley, waiting for somebody. There was lots of noise again and lights, and it's just the noise. It really got to me. I just wanted to be away. And then they put me into another room, started putting needles into me, not just 1 or 2, loads of needles. And then again, they wheeled me off to into another room, and wham, electric pads everywhere. They were trying to bring me back to life. Why? All I wanted to do was to die in peace. Why didn't they just let me just die in peace and leave me alone?
Oh, I am sorry. I just died peacefully. Everyone knew what was best for me, but you see, I'd had the conversations about it all. They even let out of hours GP know that I didn't want to go to hospital. I wanted to remain at the home, and they also let the ambulance service know. So if anyone would have called them, they would have respected my wishes too. They even had anticipatory just in case I got any pain or felt sick, and the nurses and carers were so lovely to me and my family.
So you had medication in case?
Yes, they put me on the Liverpool Care Pathway, which is a legal document, you know. It has everything in it, such as advanced care planning, including where I wanted to be, my preferred priority for care, DNAR, patient care, symptom control, do I want my vicar to visit, everything. It's great. It even had a page that made sure my family were given all the support and information they needed after I died. Brilliant. My GP even let out-of-hours doctors know that he would sign the death certificate because they were expecting me to die. They knew the reason why. And so when I did, my chosen undertaker came to get me.
So what would happen if your GP hadn't signed that document?
Well, it would have been awful. After all the fantastic care they gave me in the home, they would have been visited by the police. And my body would have been picked up by any old undertaker and taken to the blooming morgue out of town. Can you imagine how upsetting that would have been for my family and all the girls at the home?
Well, I ended up in a hospital morgue and it was awful, and it was really awful for my family. I heard some music on the way up. What was it?
Oh, that was my send-off music. I chose just how I wanted my funeral to be. Nobody wore black. Everybody wore pink, men and all. Oh, I would have loved to have seen Uncle Bert's face. Real man's man, you know. He wouldn't have been happy.
Well, you're lucky. I had no discussions like that at all. In fact, I think it was that the family just didn't want to discuss it with me because they were scared of upsetting me. And I suppose I didn't really want to talk about it to them because I was scared of upsetting them. But, yeah, it would have been nice to have had that discussion. I'd like them to have known what I wanted.
Those conversations wouldn't have made you die any sooner. Dying matters, you know.
Yes, but anyway, it's too late for me, but...
Not
It's not
too late for others.
If you wanna have a good time, just give me